My brothers and sisters, let us gather our hearts today to reflect on one of the most powerful stories of strength and redemption in the Bible, the story of Samson. We often hear of Samson's incredible physical strength, a man chosen by God from birth, destined to deliver Israel from their enemies. But Samson's story is much deeper than a tale of power. It is a story about trust, obedience, and the consequences of stepping away from God's purpose. Samson was born with a divine purpose, a calling placed on his life long before he even understood it. God's favor was on him from the beginning, and with it came extraordinary strength. Samson could tear apart lions and defeat armies with the jawbone of a donkey. But as mighty as he was, there was a weakness, not in his body, but in his heart. His strength was never just in his hair, it was in his connection to God. And when Samson allowed pride, temptation, and distraction to pull him away from that connection, he discovered how quickly even the strongest can fall. Friends, isn't that true for all of us? We may not have Samson's physical might, but we all have a calling, a purpose that God has placed within us. And yet how easy it is to get distracted, to let the temptations and struggles of this world lead us away from the path God has set before us. Maybe you've faced challenges that have made you question your strength. Maybe you've stumbled, made mistakes, or even felt like you've lost your way. But let me remind you of something powerful. Samson's story didn't end with his fall. After he was captured, blinded, and chained by his enemies, Samson could have given up. He could have believed that he was too far gone, too broken to be used by God again. But in his darkest moment, Samson did something that changed everything. He turned back to God. In his humility, in his brokenness, Samson prayed, "Lord, remember me." He knew that even though he had failed, God had not abandoned him. He understood that the true source of his strength had always been God's presence in his life. And in that moment, God heard him. God restored his strength, not for Samson's sake, but for his divine purpose. In his final act, Samson fulfilled the mission God had given him from the beginning. He brought down the pillars of the enemy's temple, delivering a victory greater than any he had achieved before. What does this mean for us? It means that no matter how far we feel we've fallen, no matter how weak or broken we think we are, God is still with us. Your greatest failures don't disqualify you from His grace. They are opportunities for Him to show His power in your life. Samson's story teaches us that true strength comes not from our muscles, but from our faith. The greatest battles we face are not physical, but spiritual. And when we turn to God in faith, He gives us the strength to rise again. Today, I want you to know that you are never too far gone. You are never too broken to be used by God. He has placed a purpose on your life, and He will complete the good work He began in you. You may have been through struggles that have left you feeling like the fight is over. You may have been tempted, distracted, even defeated by the battles of life. But like Samson, you can turn back to God and say, "Lord, remember me." God's love is greater than your mistakes. His strength is made perfect in your weakness. And when you surrender to Him, He will give you the power to overcome every obstacle in your path. Samson's greatest victory came not from his own strength, but from his prayer, his faith, and his trust in God. So rise up in faith today. Trust in the Lord, for He is the source of your strength. He can restore you, renew you, and empower you to fulfill the calling He has placed on your life. No matter what you face, no matter how many times you've fallen, God is not finished with you yet. Like Samson, you can rise again, stronger, wiser, and more faithful than ever before. Remember, it's not by might nor by power, but by His Spirit that we overcome. Trust in God, for He will give you strength beyond measure. He will turn your trials into testimonies and your defeats into victories. Stand firm in your faith and watch as the Lord works through you in ways beyond anything you can imagine.